Hi, welcome to Clarion Call Podcast. I'm Priscilla Sanders, your host. Today, I have an interview with Sam Anthony. He is with Your News, which is a platform that allows us to have local and national news that you can have fed right to your computer at your zip code. And he's got thousands of writers. It is a growing, burgeoning, exciting movement that he's doing and starting and maintaining and growing. So we're just excited to talk to him about that and also about the history of our media. Like what happened? Why did they get so corrupt, frankly? Why are they so bought out? What happened along the way? We'll talk a little bit about that and how you can get involved with Your News as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm not thirsty anymore. I found the true well. The seeking is over. I've put on a new self. Chains of sin have been broken by His grace and mercy. In bondage no more. I've been set free. You're missing. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing. Jesus, Jesus Christ, Jesus is waiting on you. Jesus, Jesus Christ, Jesus is waiting on you.
Hi, everybody. Let's welcome in Sam Anthony. Hello. How are you? Oh, so hold on.
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you today.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Well, we are happy to have you and want to hear all about Your News because it's such a unique idea. And we need help because our media is dying in America. It's been dying for a while. And I'd love to talk a little bit about what you know about the history of how, we've always had biased news. Let's face it, the government has its say and things don't air unless it's approved, right? I mean, that happens in any newspaper, any TV station, right? But who's saying yes and no, right? That's the question. So now it feels like if you have a conservative story or you're going to expose someone that they don't want to expose, it doesn't make the airways. And it's gotten so now it's just full on lies most of the time. I mean, and if it's not out and out lies, it's lying by omission because they're not giving you the whole story, right? Would you agree with that assessment?
Completely. Okay. This is the reason I exist. We're going to burn the whole thing down. Trust me, Priscilla, kiss it goodbye. It's going to be gone soon. Right.
Yeah. I would love that. And I've heard you speak before and you were saying how the numbers are so bad, and Megyn Kelly talks about this, about, on Fox, they have good numbers, but most of those other platforms, CNN, MSNBC, they get hundreds of thousands of viewers as opposed to millions on YouTube.
Yeah. And the worst numbers, that's not the worst. The worst numbers are, and this was last year. Obviously, first quarter's not done this year. We did have a little bit more after this month or March. Yeah. End of this month. Last year's age demographic, between 25 and 54, and this is all for advertisers. Like that's how they break them out. So this is the target audience you want to reach.
Okay.
Because after 54, then it's, pharmaceutical ads, right? That's the older crowd. But that 25 to 54 is typically when you're getting a job, getting married, buying a house, buying diapers, you're in consumption mode, right? So, get insurance, get this, get that. So that age demographic on every network combined, so this would have been a year ago, first quarter, was under 500,000 people or about 500,000 people total. That's over 3 months, not a day. That was total viewership for 3 months was 500,000. And so you have to ask yourself this. And by the way, I was saying it for months, and all of a sudden Megyn Kelly said it. I go, she must have heard me say it, looked it up. Okay, because that's the only way she would have looked that up. And so
Yeah.
The reason is because the average age of people watching cable news is in their 70s, in their lower 70s, and nobody's following up behind them. And I'm 61 years old, so in 1990 we had like 3 or 4 options, right? ABC, NBC, CNN, and maybe MSNBC. Fox came around in 96, but you didn't have a lot of options, so it was just a few.
Yeah.
There's literally 61 million active YouTube accounts. I never looked up TikTok or Instagram, but it's in the millions. So my point is there's options. We had 3, they've got millions. Okay.
I know.
And an example would be, Priscilla, you're an option, right? You're just in a sea of content creators and you have to figure out a way to get you there. Don't worry, I'll take care of that too.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice.
So
yeah, I mean, it is, I agree that it is overwhelming how many options we have, because I grew up in the same era you did. So I'm a Gen Xer, and we had, Walter Cronkite and the CBS News, and we had Dan Rather, and, we had the 3 news outlets and the 3 stations. And I was around before VHS. So I had to watch whatever movie was on that night or whatever. Right. And reruns were really great. If I missed an episode of a TV show, right. No one even knows what that is. That's younger.
I know.
Right.
I know.
So we are, it's almost insane how many options we have, and I think it's great though, because I would not have a platform at all. Like, because anybody who's talking about Christianity right now or other subjects, or is just starting out, they don't get a chance to. So at least I might have a small platform, but at least I am able to put my content out there, and as is everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. Years ago, this type of technology didn't exist, right? Mm-hmm. YouTube came around. They created a technology where anybody could be a broadcaster. And by the way, did you go to broadcast journalism school?
I did not.
Yeah, well, neither did anybody else. Okay. Basically, everybody on YouTube never went to broadcast journalism school. Yeah. And, the way it works is the marketplace decides what content people want to consume. And, that's why you have a lot of channels where the last posting was 3 years ago, and it wasn't because their bank accounts were too filled up. It was because nobody liked them. Yeah. It's just how it works. It's how it should be.
Right. Had to abandon shit.
And then going back to the media business, which we were discussing off air, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, the reason, the way news originally was delivered is actually Benjamin Franklin. And what happened was, people always lived outside of town because you had a farm, you raised cattle or sheep or whatever you did, your chickens, you had your plants, and then people come into town for church, let's say on a Sunday. And so what happened was, somebody went out, Franklin went out and said, hey, what are you doing at the church? What are you doing over here? And they had like a little newsletter, and people come in and they pass out the newsletter, which later on, and people liked it. Oh, look what's happening next week. Okay. Or at the church, right? So you're there now, but look what's happening next week or the week after that. And it was a way for information to flow. And then somebody would go around and do this reporting. And it just evolved into what a newspaper is as the form of communication. So keep in mind, there's still a demand for news. It's just how people consume it has changed. That's it. So this is why nobody's picking up any newspapers anymore, right? It's because I could get the Monday Night Football game on my computer. What do I have to get it from you for? I could get that local news here. Now, the issue for newspapers and for radio and TV is there's no scale to it on the web, meaning you can't make any money locally. So there, you've heard the newspapers, remember when they used to try, we're just going to web-based only, and then they went out of business in 90 days. It's because there's no scale to it. In order to have a scale, you need a platform where millions of people can contribute, because think about it.
Right.
You've got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble. Rumble has 250,000 channels, right? 250,000 people broadcast on that network. Mm-hmm. But YouTube has 61 million active users, right? Much bigger. But it's millions of content creators that are driving billions of people. Mm-hmm. It's community driven. Not so much like we do for the local, but this is how, and this is what attracts all the ad revenue. You want to know why? Because the money goes where the people are. Mm-hmm. And they're no longer on network television.
500,000 in 3 months. That is
So, I'm guessing they probably have 5 years left at the most. They're on fumes right now. Remember, it's 6 institutions that control the legacy media.
Right. It used to be a lot more, right? You said.
Well, it was 500 back in the 80s. And then consolidation happened and people started buying all these things up, and they became very powerful people, and they leveraged Congress to change the laws. So the FCC laws, where they could go in and buy all this stuff. And here's the reason why, because now they can control them. It's easier to control 6 people than it is to control 500.
Yeah. Help me name some of the 6. Clear Channel. Is that one?
No.
Or Sinclair? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, tell me.
I know one is, all right, hold on.
They changed the monopoly laws, right?
Yeah, they changed the monopoly laws. So, one is Disney. You got Disney Company, Paramount. It says, as early as domination offers shifting. Comcast, Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Paramount Global, formerly Viacom, Fox Corporation, and News Corp are the entities that control the majority of television. That's who they are.
Wow.
So, and then it breaks them down. Comcast owns NBC, including NBC, Telemundo, Universal. Walt Disney owns ABC, ESPN, Fox, Walt Disney, and so on and so forth. Warner Brothers, CNN, HBO, and then Paramount owns CBS, MTV, Nickelodeon, and Paramount Pictures. Fox owns Fox News, Fox Broadcasting, Fox Corp. News Corp owns the Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and I never heard of HarperCollins. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, HarperCollins is the old publishing company. Isn't that a publisher? Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. But so there you have it. So all mass media is controlled by a small group of people. And that's why, think about it. That's why you saw Sinclair Broadcasting with all those televisions saying the same thing at the same time.
Yes. Oh, that's right. That's what it was. It was, I wrote it down what it was exactly.
Centralized news.
This is extremely dangerous for our democracy. So it's that clip that
so
in
that's
2020 when it was like 300 little cubes all saying exactly the same thing.
Right. So, corporate wrote that, and then corporate wrote it and sent it down to the markets, and they're just reading off the teleprompter. I mean, that's all they're doing. But that just shows you how somebody from the top can control everybody else. It's called centralized news. And all that stuff's not going to survive. It's going to go away. And a lot of people tell me, oh, it's going to go away because they're lying. It has nothing to do with it. Nothing. It's because nobody's watching. It's because the younger generation don't care if they're lying or not. They're watching Joe Rogan or somebody else on TikTok. One of my shareholders called me. He said, a woman came in to to buy a car. She leased a vehicle. So, they have to fill out an application. What's your occupation? I'm a TikToker. He's like, who are you? Looked her up. She had over 1 million people that watched her channel on TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that. And she's making like $250,000 a year. And but she's 28 years old, and she never leaves her home. And she just gets on and says, okay, guys, here's what I'm going to do. And the marketplace likes her.
The marketplace likes her. There it is.
There you go.
They approve. Check that box.
And she's bigger than CNN, MSNBC, and ABC combined. Okay, give me a break.
Oh my God, this is insane.
One person. And there you go. You want to know why they're not going to survive? It's because there's options and people pick and choose what they want. I don't really want you people. I want these people. Not to mention the fact that all the people we used to watch, I'm talking about the Megyn Kellys, the Tucker Carlson. So everybody's getting a little bit older, but the 25-year-olds don't care. They're like, those people are old. I don't resonate with them.
Yeah. I do want to push back a little bit on, I think it does matter that people are telling the truth, because I think that's one reason they leave. They've left the mainstream.
Of course, it didn't help. What I'm saying is they could have been telling the truth and they're still losing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because they're outdated. It's just an outdated model. And yes, for sure, like, okay, they're bought off by Pfizer. They're bought off by whatever corporation, like you just named off. I mean, there's an agenda, right? So people are sick of that. Hopefully, more and more people.
Priscilla, when was the last time you sent a telegraph?
Never.
It's because somebody created this.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It's a new product.
We're marching into the future here.
It's all it is, and it just leaves the old guard behind. And by the way, most of those people will not be able to survive new media. Most of them won't.
Can we talk a little bit about the history of why they started lying? why did they become corrupt? Like, because it used to have 500, you know, what was it? What was the term?
Independent news outlets,
Yeah.
you could have owned your CBS affiliate, I could own mine, that kind of thing. Different
Yeah.
newspapers, then they
Yeah.
were
Because
all
that's
rolled up.
at least what? I mean, that's several hundred, a hundred, what? I can't do the math, but it's several estate, right? Each
Mhm.
state could have several outlets, and it didn't have to be following orders from one person or one of six, right? So what do you think the steps along the way? We talked a little bit about um, in the 90s during Clinton, he passed some legislation during that time where you didn't have to have both sides anymore. It could just be one. And that's when opinion started kind of taking over. And it wasn't just opinion shows. Now the news started becoming more biased. And
Mhm.
then what do you know about the Smith-Mundt Act?
Well, just made it so they weren't liable for their stuff.
They-
That was it. Priscilla, honestly, I think that from the government's perspective, they did what comes natural. They're not here to help us. They're here to help themselves. That's what they took the founding fathers' vision and they completely destroyed it, and they turned it into a business for themselves. So if you're doing that and your objective is to enhance your own wealth, you really want to control what people think. So infiltrating the media is the way to do it. Have you ever seen the movie The Post?
I don't think so.
Look it up and watch it,
Okay.
because this is exactly what it's about. So it's about the Washington Post. The gentleman who owned it died. The wife took it over, and she didn't know anything about the business, but now she's in there, and she relied on her board members who were politicians, who were high up in government. And the reason they put them on the board is because now we're getting information that before everybody else is getting it as a news outlet. What they were really doing was feeding her crap. They were lying to them. They would push, here's the agenda, make this newspaper. So they were getting on boards of other companies and pushing an agenda. And then they actually found out the truth. And that's when the government turned on them and said, if you print that story, you're all going to prison. And they did it anyway. It's a really amazing story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and then the Supreme Court overruled it and said, no, the media is here to protect us from people like you. But it makes logical sense that if you want to control people, you control the information coming out. And that's exactly what happened. So mainstream media really just turned into the PR firm for, the United States government, in particular, the Democratic Party, but
Right.
both parties are to blame.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, the WMDs and stuff, the Iraq war propaganda back in that day.
Yep. They had their own agenda, and that's what they leveraged the media for. It's a shame that it had to come to this, but it's all going to be burnt to the ground here soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least there's platforms like yours that are trying to pick up the pieces and offer some alternatives to us, because it's unfortunate because local news is so underserved now, right?
Yeah.
Like my little local paper, they hardly have a staff. It's a skeleton crew. And I used to go visit that paper and contribute things from high school or whatever. And it had was bustling, there's people doing stories about every little thing, and they would come cover all the high school things. There was a budget, and then now it's maybe one guy who comes and covers a few things, and it's very biased, and it's sad, so and they don't have any money to they don't have a way for people to make money. I love that you were saying how your news being consolidated, right? Now there's a way to have a money stream, because you've got a platform that allows free speech. It's not going to censor you. So people can go cover the Little League game. They can also do an opinion piece about whatever they want in national government. Right. But, we don't have those. We don't, it's sad to not have a local hometown paper, so this may be a way to give us that back.
It's really the only way. I've been doing this for a lot of years. And so as I told you before, there's still demand for news. It's just consumption has changed. The reason the local newspapers don't have the staffing is because all the money is going to digital. Even the local money is going to digital because it's way more cost effective, right? So now you have less news reporting. It's just the way it works, right? I don't have the money to pay these people, so I'm not going to get the job done. So What our product, because we're hyper local, we allow public interaction. So, people can contribute to the narrative locally. People can post their own news, views, opinions, classifieds. If you wanted me to publish your kid's Little League game, that's going to be sports news for your city, right? But in addition to public participation, which, by the way, is what the people want. They don't want to be suppressed. Everybody wants to participate in the news, right?
Yes.
So our niche is local. That's what our niche is. Like, you have other products out there that fill voids, like YouTube. I mean, the only reason Rumble exists is because some people were kicked off of YouTube. Otherwise, nobody would be on Rumble. And it's not an insult to Rumble. It's just a fact. It's like, look, the only reason True Social exists is because Twitter kicked all the conservatives off, and X, or what is it called? True Social filled the void.
Right.
Nobody could have anticipated Elon Musk buying, Twitter.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I'm just going to share something with you. You know that True Social has 6 million users and X has 600 million users. It's 1%. Now, wait. 100% of the 6 million have an X account.
Right.
So who do you think's the 10,000-pound gorilla there? Okay, it's X. They control everything. So it's very difficult to compete with somebody who controls the market. And that's why I always say, YouTube, if YouTube ever decided to squash Rumble and take everybody back, everybody would leave. Yeah. It's just how it works, So nobody does what we do. Okay. And the void we fill is the collapse of legacy media. So I use LinkedIn Navigator. Do you know there's 500,000 people on LinkedIn Navigator that are advertising, that are part of the downsizing of the legacy media? Anybody that goes freelance has lost their job, right? Freelance means I'm looking for work. That's what it means. There's 200,000 kids that just came out of journalism school that can't find jobs. And so they have nowhere to go. And then you have people like Nick Shirley, who has never went to journalism school, probably never went to college. I don't know. It's not an insult to him.
No, he
but
did. He was a missionary for 2 years.
Breaks the biggest story with this. So I'm standing here today at the Leering Center, and
exposed fraud in Minnesota, and it's been going on for 10 years or more. I mean, wow.
So this is where everything's headed. It's heading to a citizen-powered press.
Yeah.
And in what we do, because remember, we live under centralized news, but now what's happening is through technology, you could have people like Nick Shirley that are exposing things that the mainstream media either doesn't want you to know. And I got other stuff to tell you about that, but either they don't want you to know, or, they don't have the resources to find out. So here's what's going to happen. Somebody like you is going to be a citizen journalist on our platform. And maybe you're proactive in the community and you go to the city council meetings or school board meetings and you say one day, I'm going to sign up to be a citizen journalist on your news. And you're going to go over to the city council meeting, take notes, either write a story or put the bullets into AI and have it write it for you until you like it. And then you share it with the community and all your friends. That's where everything is going. And so when they read the story, it's going to be your neighbor. It goes, wow, this is where Priscilla is telling us. Look what happened here, right? They trust you. They know you.
Right.
And that's where everything is headed, a citizen-powered press.
Yeah.
And so this is why mainstream media is not going to like this at all, because people always tell me, well, do you fact check this stuff? I don't have to. If somebody's lying, the public will let us know. The only thing a journalist has is their integrity. The moment you lie to people, how long you think it'll be for nobody ever tunes into your channel?
No, you'll lose people.
You'll lose everybody. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So this is where everything is headed. And it'll be, and the whole part of decentralization is the key. Because could you imagine, like on our platform, we're operating 20,000 cities. So people could do, they could be food critics like local theaters. They could do recipes. They could do home and garden stuff, faith-based stuff, food and wine, business, science and technology, entertainment, golf news. As I said, you heard me say I have somebody that does Formula One only, just racing. He does a podcast and written news. I mean, it's crazy. It's whatever they love. Yeah. But all of this is community-based. I figure we could probably have 50 people a city times 20,000 cities. You're talking about 1 million people reporting news. That is a boatload of people, right? But they're writing about what their passion is, not what I assign them.
Yes. So the stories are going to be more exciting and better and more, like you say, more passionate, right?
Exactly. You know how many people I've spoke with that said, the only job I like entertainment news and the only job I could get is business news. I don't know nothing about it. Right.
Right.
So that's now they could actually write about what's of interest to them, and
Yeah.
that draws in an audience. So our audience last month was over 1 million people. I think it was may have even been 1.5 or close to 1.5. But I
Fabulous.
have a little over 5,700 news reporters. Can you even believe that? I mean, it took me a while to get there, but now watch what happens when we have 20,000 and 50,000 and 100,000 news reporters.
Wow.
So this is where the world is headed, right? And go back to your question before, I'm going to tell you how the news business works and why it's so screwed up.
Okay.
I was talking to a woman that signed up to become a citizen journalist. She wanted to have a conversation with me. She's an actual real news reporter out of Tampa. And she's been doing it for a long time. And so she gets on the Zoom call and she said, Sam, the only thing that I have is my credibility. When I report news, trust me, it's 100% spot on. Here's what I want to know. Will you run the stories as they're written? I said, yeah, why wouldn't I? She goes, well, because you don't know much about newspapers, do you? I go, not really. I never worked on one before. She said, well, when you write a story, like a story can take me a year to bring out, year and a half. I bring it to not the editor, but you give it to the editor who then takes it to the review board. Did you know there's a review board at a newspaper?
No.
Yeah, well, neither did I. And so she says they bring it to the review board. The review board reviews it and they decide if it's going to run or not. And they don't tell you a reason why. And I said, are you kidding me? She goes, yeah, it could be somebody's brother or cousin or a big advertiser. And so they'll just not for nothing, but do you remember Amy Robach and the Jeffrey Epstein thing when they didn't run that? So remember how pissed she was on the mic drop, right? I had that story, right? Want to know why they nixed it? It's because somebody from DC called and said, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke to Alex Newman about it. I don't know if you know Alex.
I do. My last few episodes featured his reporting about the COP30 and the climate change.
So Alex is one of our advisory board members. When he saw this, oh yeah. And Alex, so I'm on a show with Alex. I said, Alex, is that really true? He goes, it gets worse. I go, how can it get worse? He said, well, you write for the paper. I've had stories where I had the villain and they change it and make the guy look good.
Oh no. Oh my.
Yeah. He goes, you don't own the content. They pay you to write it. They don't have to publish it. They can change it for whatever they want.
Oh, that's terrible.
I said, are you kidding me?
That's corrupt.
Yeah, this is why what I do is so important.
Yeah.
Because there's no more gatekeepers, Priscilla. Okay. The government's going to hate this, not only on a national level, on a local level. In essence, I mean, don't forget, a very broad in scope, but from the political side, look, I have people who do the bank robbery, the high school football game, all that stuff. But I have people who do investigative stuff. Good. And I know when they're over the target when I get emails from somebody threatening to sue me. Because last week I had 2 come in. And I called the journalist, like, okay, explain to me what this is. And they were a little shocked. One of the guys said, let me get so-and-so on the phone. So he gets them on the phone. And I said, well, here's what I got. Explain this to me. And there was kind of a pause. And the guy goes, Sam, it's public information. The guy beat his wife and he got a DUI, I think. Mm-hmm. So he sends me over to stuff because I'm just reporting on what happened. Right? Okay. And the guy's threatening me, and I'm like, well, what did I do? I'm just a platform, right? Would he send Elon Musk an email? So I emailed him back. I said, with the documents, I go, so here's what they're reporting on. It's actually factual reporting. Please tell me what's inaccurate. And if it is, I will remove the article. That was the end of that.
No more from him.
And the same thing happened. I actually had 3. The same thing happened at a second one. And then the third one, they were kind and said, can you please remove these? It's kind of, I went, you know what? Because they were right. So the point is whenever they go after you, they're guilty as hell. That's all I'm going to tell you. They're guilty as hell. They're nice, but can you look, that's not true. Could you please? Yes, I'll take care of it.
Good. Tell us, I'm thinking people may have a question. I did when I first heard about this, like there's going to be people that are going to just make sure the story, like is legible or, readable or whatever, but you glance at each story and
Oh, we
it's
do. Yeah.
proof. Yeah. And you're not running it through AI, you're just a human being is making sure that this story makes enough sense to post, right? And you're hiring people in districts or something, you said, right?
Well, yeah, so we're not so much hiring. This is a monetization model. So people sign up like you would on Facebook or X or anything else, and we monetize them. But every story there's an approval process, and there's not AI looking at it, and it will never be AI looking at it. At least I don't think there will be. We're already set up where I don't know if you know this, but you have the TV markets where New York's number 1, LA's number 2, Chicago's number 3. So there's 210 television markets. Mm-hmm. They're all built into our system. So we can obviously serve news to a city, to a county, to a market, which is defined by the TV stuff, state, regional, or national. And we have a way where people can become market editors. Different animal. I only have a few of them. I haven't figured out that side of it, or at least taken time to put together the formula for like what a market editor is going to be, what their role is. Because what I don't want is somebody that blocks stories because it's not politically aligned with them. And I will say it. Even if I disagree with you, we're going to publish your opinion, right? If you're doing a news story and you're putting your opinion in, it goes in opinions. Yes. Keep your opinions out of it, unless it's the high school football game or some kind of sport where I think that that the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. Nobody cares. You're not going to upset anybody.
Yeah, so-and-so played a good game. Yeah, we can have that opinion. Okay.
Yeah. But when it comes to politics, it's who, what, when, where, why. The moment you write a story and you start all of a sudden add your 2 cents in there, bye-bye, goes to opinions. And so, and by the way, the other reason we fact check this stuff, not fact check it, we look at it is because the content creators select the topic that it's supposed to go.
Okay.
Well, you know what? If we didn't look at them before they went live and make them live, every single person's story would be front page national news. Every single one of them. Somebody's literally, that's front page national news. That's my kid. So you have to, and like I'll see stories and it could be a business story. And they not only check business, politics, entertainment, world, history, or whatever, classifieds, legal. I mean, there's like everything gets checked. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with these people? I told my developer, I go, can we just remove the categories for them and I'll just select them, or whoever's approving them select them, because this is getting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Because we're more deselecting than anything else. There could be an event, like a fair that's coming to, some community, which is also entertainment news. Okay, there's 2 events and entertainment, right? And then that story needs to be set to expire at the time of the event when it's ending. Yeah. But you need editors for that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the editor role, I guess, because you're going to have some markets like the New York market, which represents a lot of counties and goes into New York and I think 1 county in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Huge. You might have 10 editors in that market, because you might have 5,000-6,000 content creators that are just in that geography. No one person could do that many stories, but we're set up for it, is what I'm saying. And so that model is whatever article is approved, that the person approving it makes money off of that article. So they get a percentage of the ad revenue. So if you're approving 100 stories a day, you're making money off of everybody else's stuff. It's a smaller piece, but it's on volume. Right. That's all. So this is how we set it up. It's actually a pretty brilliant model. And the reality is, Priscilla, it's the exact replication of the physical world, how the media industry works, minus all the print and distribution costs. And it allows public participation, which drives a whole different set of eyeballs.
I know. That is really cool. It's really great. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to help spread the word and participate. So
yes, and you're going to become a content creator in this as well.
I am. Yeah. Look for me in the faith section. Yeah.
Yes.
And potentially other things, like I can maybe do a second category if I'm talking about, climate change or environmentalism, basically debunking those things is what I just did with Alex Newman's piece, and world history, if I'm talking, right. If you're mentioning certain categories, you can.
Absolutely. I mean, if you then, I have a woman out of Arizona and I go on her show once a month. And she's an actual journalist, went to journalism school. Amber May is her name. And Amber said to me a while back, she goes, can I do a different category? Like, she does a lot of political stuff. I go, you can do whatever you want. She's like, well, I'm going to the Arizona State volleyball game. And so she went to the game. She took photos, video, wrote a story, and that was sports news in the state of Arizona, right?
Sure.
And then she said to me, can I do NASCAR? She was at the NASCAR, like the Phoenix Open or the Speedway for just last week. So that content, that made national news, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So the reporters, all of a sudden it broadens her out. She's excited about it. She's like, wow, I get to go to all these events. You could get that kind of stuff anywhere. What you can't get is the local stuff.
That's right.
And that's, I'm telling you, the money's going to be in the local, because you could get that Phoenix Raceway anywhere. What you can't get is the high school game.
That's right.
Because all those newspapers are going away. So who's going to report on it?
Exactly. Yeah. The people, the parents, right? The parents, the people in town who want to make an effort to enhance their community with that and give those kids their spotlight, right? Because that's what's happening is all those kids were in the paper, their little team pictures, or like the home run picture with the bat,
Mm-hmm.
And now those photographers don't exist to come out.
All of it's drying up. So it's all going to a citizen powered press. And, this is what we do and the beauty is this is going to become the next mainstream media, Priscilla. Mark my words. It's not even 99%. It's 100% chance. So it could be somebody else who builds this. We're just the only players. So let me get this to about 40 or 50,000 people. It'd be untouchable at that point.
Wow.
And we're 10% of the way there.
That's fantastic. Well, all the best about that. Let's see. When did you sort of wake up that, oh gosh, the media is lying? Like, I didn't know it was this bad. What's your story with that?
I'm going to tell you that one. So I have a partner that, listens to Alex Jones, and, she's always telling me the media is lying, and, InfoWars, remember?
Yeah.
And I used to tell her, they're not lying. Okay. Why would they lie? I mean, they live here too. Why would they lie? Well, obviously I was wrong. And so, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you live here too. Why are you going to lie about it?
Right.
Well, when Trump won in 2016,
yes,
everybody turned on him and just started making stuff up. Now, before that, remember Hillary was in the lead. Trump didn't have a chance. All the polls came out and said this. She didn't even come close to beating him. It was a disaster of epic proportion. And that's when they realized they need to start cheating, right? They did a little cheating, but I think even Hillary bought the BS of the polls. Okay. So she just figured she didn't need to do it.
Yeah. Well, she totally like entitled, not even going to states. No, she really thought it was in the bag. Everybody did. Everybody
exactly.
did. They bought the hype. Yeah.
And then when I saw the media turn, I went, holy crap, she was right. And because you could just see it. And then they start making up stuff. The whole Russia gate, right? All of that was just absolute BS. And this poor guy could never get a break. I mean, it was just constantly going. And, he's like the new kid on the block in the sense that he's never been in there. And the whole 4 years was fighting these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, it gets even worse. Mm-hmm. They actually manufactured stuff, got indictments, and even got convictions. Okay, this is how bad these people are, and they leverage the media of all this, and he never went to jail for any of it, and all of it was overturned. Now we're finding out in Fulton County that the whole thing was a scam. I don't know. I can't even remember how many votes, but it's in the hundreds of thousands of BS votes. Wow. Here's what I wonder. What I wonder is all the stuff that happened in all these swing states and all these like Fulton County and Maricopa County. Yeah. These hundreds of thousands of BS votes would technically overturn the election. Joe Biden was never elected. That's right. Are they going to take it to the point where that guy no longer was president? They're going to take him off of everything, and they're going to make it. To me, the whole country was infiltrated. It was treasonous. And they took it over. And Joe Biden was just the idiot that had no idea what he was doing. I mean, you almost can't even prosecute the guy, even though I would. I'm just saying.
Decided not to. They could have. They decided not to. Yeah.
So that's the question. Are they going to do that? And I sure as hell hope so. I got one more year here that I'm waiting to see. I went out to the Turning Point event in December. I called Mark Fincham. I go, come meet me for lunch. He's like, I'm right down the street. I'll come down there. And we had lunch. And I said, Mark, is anybody going to jail? Because I got to tell you something. I'm going to be a Puerto Rican resident real quick. Okay. Because I'm done paying taxes to this country. I'm done. And all you got to do is go to Puerto Rico and you pay 4% instead of your 40% here or whatever tax bracket. Yeah. You just have, at my job, I can do wherever the hell I want. I could go to Ukraine and do it.
You could go anywhere.
It doesn't matter. So he said, it's all coming. It's all coming.
Oh, good.
I said, are you sure? He also told me that he's got all the goods on Katie Hobbs, and he says she's cooked.
Oh,
I said, great. And he said to me, I'm not suicidal. I just want to let you know that in case something happens to me. But I'm still wondering, when are these people going to jail? Because Trump didn't do anything and they got indictments and convictions.
I know.
In like minutes.
I know. Just one after the other.
So you have all this evidence, hundreds of thousands of fake votes. Nobody gets prosecuted. Not one person.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
All this money. So and I'm just going to share something else with you, Priscilla. Right now, what Trump is doing, like when you look at this Iran thing, which I never saw coming, but he doesn't call me and tell me anything. I'm going to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
But the whole Maduro thing, Venezuela, never saw that coming. I mean, I woke up one morning and go, what? Okay, what happened? So
I know we all did.
I mean, can you imagine being the idiot on TV that's going, come and get me, and next thing you know, you're in New York in a jail cell, right? You're being snatched out of your bed with hoods coming over your head. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like blown away at this. And so, what he did there strategically, you've heard all these politicians talk about, if you get me elected, we need to do this. We need to fix the budget. We need to the Social Security, everything. We need to make sure we get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Nobody ever does a damn thing. No. You hear people talking about Iran 30 years ago and how it's no good and we need to eliminate it. They should not have nuclear power, yet they give them money to make sure they get it, right?
Yeah.
It's so I think the Iran thing was just like laid in his lap because the people started protesting and he said, if you kill those people, I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't believe him. They just snatched the Maduro out, but we don't believe you. Come on, let's see if you got it. What a dummy. So
crazy.
Strategically, this is going to go down in history as brilliant because this completely is taking away all the money. Right? Like, the reason, like to me, I told you before, I think Ukraine needs to go. I think Russia needs to take it because that was the money laundering spot for the United States for every freaking politician. All their money ran through there. Now, from what I understand, a large portion of money is running through Iran. That comes from another podcaster that told me that. And he says he has evidence of it. And I said, you got to be kidding me. So I don't know, but that money is going to terrorism, all that stuff. So basically, what I see is all of a sudden China has no cheap oil. That's where they were getting the bulk of their oil. Venezuela was getting the bulk. So it's changing the whole thing. Now he's going after the cartel, which I was saying for years. I was always saying, why don't we just invade Mexico and just tell them if anybody fights against us, you're dead. So don't bother and go clean that crap up. Not because you don't like Mexico, because they're killing us. You're allowing them to come in here. I mean, why did you go after the mafia? Because it was competition. It was a reason. Okay. It's exactly what it was. But when you have drugs coming in here that are killing 100,000 people a year, and somebody doesn't think this is a problem, so nobody ever fixed it. And then what happened in the Biden administration? I can't even believe they allowed all these people to come through here.
I was just going to say immigration. The cartels totally that was their big push too. Yeah.
I talked to Mark Fincham. Do you remember the thing that went on in Tennessee where the sheriff, they came in and raided those guys broke that story on my platform. Oh my God. Yeah. So that was completely from your news, that whole thing. We were the lead on that whole thing because not me, it was Mark.
Right.
But I called I talked to the sheriff because I got a call from somebody that I was looking for. And he told me, he goes, well, that story that broke on your site? He goes, I'm the lead investigator on it. I go, are you freaking kidding me? He doesn't live in Tennessee. He lives in Georgia. What are you doing there? Well, they bring him in for this stuff. He goes, as a matter of fact, was it a sheriff or what? I forget what it was.
I think it was sheriff deputies. Yeah.
Whatever. He goes, here, talk to him. It was him. Right. So they were telling me that all the money was being laundered and a large portion of it was going to child sex trafficking and human sex trafficking and all the stuff. And so the feds came in to take all the information.
Oh.
So all the information that was damning against the politicians, yes.
Oh,
so they used the feds to go get it.
Oh, boy.
So Mark had it all.
Wow.
And that's how you squash it. You use law enforcement to go in there. Hey, they got the goods on us. So do you want to talk about weaponizing the government? Mm-hmm. I can't even believe that sheriff allowed him in. I don't think he was a sheriff. I think he was. I
don't know.
Trooper,
state trooper.
Or he was the captain, the captain there, whatever it was. I think the sheriffs are autonomous. I don't think anybody can.
Yeah, no, I think it was the highway patrol. So the state troopers, the highway patrol, the people that are on the interstate ticketing you and stuff. Those are those guys are different than the sheriffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in any event, it's all about money laundering and money. And what he's doing is he's eliminating all their money, all these NGOs. Look, I'm telling people everything they know, but think about politicians and how crappy they are.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it so I can't give this entity money, but I could give it to an NGO that then could give it to that entity. But they're not really going to give it to them. They're really it's going to be a friend of mine I tell to set up an NGO, and that NGO is going to be something that sounds good, how to feed chickens and,
Sure. Baby.
And here's how it works. Priscilla, I'm going to give you $1 billion. Okay. I want 900 million of you to donate that to the DNC. And then that money's going to be recirculated and you get to live like a queen.
Yep. There it is.
Okay. And so now, even though you have to have that in writing that shows that, well, nobody's going to say it. So you can't really prosecute because even though it happened. So basically everybody was just enriching themselves off of the taxpayer money. And that's all this has been. Nothing goes to anything you pay into. You want roads? Oh, we got to borrow money for that. We don't have it.
I know, right? It's like, why? Why am I in potholes right now on my way?
Scott Besson said they're estimating $1.5 trillion is going to waste, abuse, and fraud. And 2.3 trillion is total amount of money coming in, which basically means it's like 70% of the money. And why am I paying? And nobody in Washington even gave a crap. And even to this day, the only reason that it's not still going on is because Trump shut it down. They just said, look, it's over. We're not going to pay it because they still want it. And why do you think they're whining and crying so much? You ever notice Democrats don't have any? And now we're going on a rant. Democrats don't have any. They have no solutions to any problems.
No, it's always just, I hate Trump. Trump's terrible.
Get rid of him. He's doing it wrong. We don't need voter integrity. The comical part was, who's the woman in Texas that lost? What was her name?
Oh, Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, so Jasmine Crockett is now blaming Republicans. Now, she voted against fair elections. Okay, voter ID, no nothing. That's racist. She gets into a Democratic primary. Only Democrats show up, but somehow Republicans cheated.
Of course.
Okay, we need to secure our elections. Oh, well, only Democrats could vote. Well, that's all that voted. It's just kind of comical just how stupid this actually is.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's nonsense. And the lying is out of control. And
they need to go. So, I honestly, I think if you could take Washington and shut down all the spending so they can never spend a nickel on anything, you realize most of them would leave. There's no reason to be there.
Yeah, because they can't make their little...
Imagine if you were a bank robber and there was no bank to rob. What would you do? Where's the bank? I got to go to the bank. And that's all it is. They're all bank robbers. That's all they are. They're just trying to figure out how they could funnel money back to them. And they had a system that was working for years. And this is why we're $38 trillion in debt. And the brilliant part is none of them are going to jail for it. Explain that to me.
It makes me crazy. It makes me. So USAID, is that what some of that funnel that shut off some of the NGOs? And
it was all, but it was, most of it was all fake. It never goes to where it's supposed to be. Even Elon Musk said 90% of the money that gets sent to the NGOs never leaves DC.
Oh my God.
90%. And they're sending trillions and 90% doesn't even leave. Why do you think Jasmine Crockett, and I was on a show yesterday, and the guy wrote a book. I looked, he goes, she when she came into office, she was worth X. It was almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And within 4 years, she's worth 9 million. Mathematically, at 170 grand a year, 140, whatever, there's no possible way to save $9 million. Okay. Yet miraculously, she has $9 million. How could that possibly be?
Right. And that's the case with most of them. I mean,
yeah, pretty much all of them. I'm not going to say all, but you probably 80%.
A lot.
You know, why do you think? Why do you think John Thune is right now posturing against the SAVE Act? Why do you think it is? I'm just going to tell you why. Because somebody's saying to him,
mm-hmm.
hey, if you vote no on that, I will make sure you have $10 million. Make it 20. Okay. All right, good. That's all it is. We have the best Congress money can buy.
Oh my gosh, that's the quote of the day. Wow.
It's all it is. It's just all a front. They're not here to help you. They're here to steal everything you got. They're just pissed you still have something.
Right. And then you got a few people like Dinesh D'Souza's son-in-law, Brandon Gill, and I think Ted Cruz is very earnest. I listen to his podcast. He's always introducing stuff, and the Democrats it never comes up for vote half the good stuff he's bringing in. I mean, there's a few, the guy from Wisconsin. He's great. He listened about he believed the COVID people who had, side effects to the shot. And so there's a few people, but
there are
artists, this part you're talking about.
Basically anything they want you to do, don't do. Okay. So don't follow anything, because once a liar, always a liar, but even they're looking at the ones that have integrity. Even they go, no, this is all crap.
No, everybody is very disillusioned. Yeah, it's
true. So I'm confident that all of this is going to. And by the way, I'm just going to share one other thing with you. Mm-hmm. The reason what I'm doing is so important is because if you control information, like you've heard the expression, information is power. He who controls all the information is all the power. So even people like Zuckerberg have power, because they have reach, even though the content is, here's my baby pictures, I mean, it's not like really powerful information, but it's controlling information. Information is power. And when you're talking news media, as those go away, what will replace it will be a hyper-local news platform like us, and it will be a complete citizen-powered press. Right. And if you want to get rid of them, there's only two ways to do it. One is through a civil war, and the other way is through information. So you want to control information. Those are your only options, other than if Trump could shut down all the spending on DC, well, you can't spend a nickel for anything, and then everybody would just leave to go find the bank and go start robbing that one in another state. Yeah. This is the only options you have. And so it's important that what I do win. Okay, yeah. It's extremely important, because if I win, the people win. And by the way, did you ever look at like that equity crowdfund? Did you ever see the name of it? Name of my company, the holding company. You know how Fox News is owned by News Corp, and News Corp owns a bunch of companies. I don't remember how many, but so the company that owns your news is called Nico Ventures. Okay. Do you know it's a Greek name? Do you know what the word Nico means? What the definition is?
No.
I didn't either, but it means victory of the people. It's why I picked it.
Yay.
Yes. So,
amen to that.
Exactly. So that's why I went with that name, and that's the holding company. So my model eventually will be a roll-up for all different verticals that are news. It could be auto racing, boxing, home and garden, food and wine. It could be, I'll be talking to somebody next week that does Second Amendment news, like gun news, that kind of stuff. But it's important that we win. But honestly, I think this is going to end up becoming the next WikiLeaks. And the reason I say that, it's not like I'm, Assange?
Right.
It's because you can't control it. Imagine having 100,000 news reporters. How the hell do you control them? I can't call you and say, hey, don't report this. So we don't even know what's happening. But what's going to happen is you're going to have people on a local level that uncover dirt on somebody. A city council meeting, a city councilman, a mayor or something, and they're going to get those goods and they're going to break that story. and it's going to shed light on it. Corruption is going to become a thing of the past after we get rid of mainstream media. So once you build this up, and I know what's going to happen, once we get big, all the mainstream media is going to be talking about how you can't validate or, you know what?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, we listen to you. We had enough. Okay. So I'll listen to anybody else but you at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the people will call you out if you lie, and they won't support that anymore. Mm-hmm. And we need to have a way to shed light on, there's got to be accountability, and maybe if we can do it on a local level, it'll trickle up to the top, to put more pressure on them to make people accountable too, because what the heck, and like I'm going to a library meeting where they're just arguing with the community that we don't want, smut and porno books, in the children's section of the public library. And we're having to fight and write letters and show up at these meetings. But that's the perfect kind of story to put on yournews.com.
Are you kidding? And then share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And put it out on your social media, share it with all those people. And now it's in the press.
Right.
And you can actually say, these are the people that want your kids to see smut.
Mm-hmm. Do you really want to elect them again? Do you know that they're doing this? Because the thing is, no one's covering this stuff now because the Daily News Journal is this big. It's like 3 pages.
Yeah, I saw one yesterday. It was 2 pages or 3 pages, and it was a monthly or bi-monthly. It was like, why bother?
I know, right? Whoa, when was that? When did that happen?
Yeah, that's what happens. They go from dailies to weeklies to monthlies to out of business, and that's all it is. So the good news, there's really good news from this. Okay. Yeah. It will ultimately lead to a citizen-powered press.
Yes.
And who do you trust more? Somebody like you that's at the library?
Library meeting.
Right? That's going to these meetings, that's reporting on it, or somebody that has no idea that's reading off a teleprompter.
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
First primary source, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about.
Take it back in our own hands, right? And share it. So, well, great. Congratulations on all of your success so far with this, and may it keep growing. And I look forward to working with you. And
thank you.
Again in a few months to just give us a new update and tell us what you're finding out and how much you've grown, because I think it's empowering. It's important to empower each other. We're not, you watch the national news, even on your favorite podcaster who you trust, but you just feel so helpless. People are power hungry. I mean, that's what we've been talking about is they want money, they want fame, they want power, and they'll do anything for it. A lot of people will do anything for it, and they don't care who they hurt and what they do and how criminal it is. And it's a sad thing. And our society now, the anti-hero is the hero. Now the immigrant who raped people and killed people, they're the hero. It's upside down.
The guy that shot the executive is the hero.
Right? Exactly. That's exactly right. That was the beginning of that upward when it became fairly obvious that, the bad guy's a good guy. That's crazy.
It is. Up is down, right is wrong. I mean, so here's what I want you to do. And this is for anybody that's listening that's interested. We want to bring on citizen reporters. So, we have a monetization model. So anybody that's interested, go to yournews.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and there's a button that says become a citizen journalist. There's a couple, 2-3 short videos you could watch. And if you like what you hear, below that is an application. You fill it out, which presets you up. When we look at it, we activate you, and then you get an email with instructions on how to use your dashboard. We also look at it just to make sure, I don't have somebody that has social media that's talking about blowing up people. And, those are not the people you want on here. But most of the people we get are people that are, news people that, are trying to figure out a way to make a living. And then we're doing an investment piece, which I think we're doing something called an equity crowd fund. There's at the bottom, it'll say invest. If you're interested in making an investment in this, you can read about it. It's done through a brokerage firm. So we're using something called Issuance Express, which is owned by North Capital Partners. And unlike all tech giants, all were funded by Silicon Valley. And so the way that world works is the big money people come in. We're doing a private placement. So I'll be taking this company public probably in between month 24 and 36. So the big money comes in, they scale it up, they build it, they build the brand, and then you get to get in once they take it public. And basically all these people are selling their stock to you and they make a fortune off of it. Okay. So we decided that, there's 6 institutions that control the legacy media. And rather than go to institutional money, which would be easier to do, I figure we'd be making the same mistake. Could you imagine if I said to you, oh, by the way, I just got funded by BlackRock and Vanguard, right? So people immediately think you're compromised, right? And you would be at this level. Like if they're jumping in on the 3rd round, they're just doing it because they have to when you're going public. But at this level, they'll control it. So we decided to do the exact opposite. Now, equity crowd funds, I don't know if you know much about investing, but when you buy a private placement, you have to be accredited.
Yes.
But for equity crowd funds, you do not. You're just limited on your investment. But you could market to the masses and you could bring in $200, $300, $500. So anybody can play. Nice. So just because you're not accredited doesn't mean you're stupid. This allows the little guys to be able to participate. Yeah, and what I need to take it public, because we're doing this round, I'll finish it off. Then we'll do another one. I'll finish that one. The next round will be the IPO round that we do. And that one, we need to, before we go public, we need to have 3,000 shareholders. I think we got 350 or something like that. Okay. So we'll get there. No question. But ultimately, this will become the next mainstream media. I think Wall Street will eat this up. I mean, because everything's based on your scale. So if somebody says, well, how many news reporters do you have? 50,000. Well, how many news reporters do they have room for? Well, you're talking the United States or globally? This is global. Yeah, we plan on opening up other countries, right? But just for the United States, right? 1 million. Yeah. So they're only 5% growth. You see what I mean? And the content creators have a value. All platforms are valued based on how many content creators they have.
Okay.
And Facebook and X, there's a different value than YouTube or Rumble or me, because my content creators, like Mark Fincham is one of our content creators. The guy reaches 250,000 people. Like when he submits an article to me, sometimes I get 50,000 people that read that story. Wow. 50,000, one guy.
Wow.
I have 5,700 of him.
Nice.
He just happens to be a little bigger, but I'll get the more you get, the more piles on. And so if I want to double my traffic, I just double my content creators. That's it. And so they have a different value. So the value is just, the marketplace already decided it would be about between 10 and 12,000 a user.
Okay.
That means Joe Rogan's worth the same as you.
Wow.
Even though we know he's not. But on the platform, it's an average of everybody. It's just how it works.
Okay.
So by the time you have, let's say, 100,000 news reporters, you're worth at least $1 billion.
That's great. Wow. How exciting.
Yes.
Putting the power back in the people's hands. Right.
If we're a news organization that's supposed to be for the people, by the people, and we're putting the power to press in the hands of the people, yeah. BlackRock and Vanguard should not be involved in this. It should be the people that own it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So, yes. So for people that want to make an investment, you could spend $200 and anywhere in between. Okay. And I'm in the process of talking to some bigger players to finish this one off, because this is the one you want to get. Trust me, the next one's going to be a lot higher.
Oh, okay. So the minimum now, but it'll go up for the next.
No, This one's $2 a share.
Okay.
Remember, we have almost 6,000 content creators. So if you just made the number 10,000, that's a $60 million value. Current market for this one, because this is when we started, was 20 million. Okay. So it's already a third of what it should be, right? Okay. And so this one finishing, I'll get it to 30,000. And that now you're talking 30,000 times 10 grand, you're talking 300 million. So the next round of funding is going to be a much higher number. I'm talking like, probably 7,500 million in that range on a valuation, which means it might be $7 or $10 a share instead of $2.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's all it is.
We're buying it while it's low. That's
this round is the little one. And then the next one's going to be a little bit bigger, but it's going to be a higher number. So,
gotcha.
If I did a $5 million round of the next one and I made it a $100 million valuation and I sold $5 million, you're only selling 5%.
Okay.
See? So I don't know what the number it is we're going to do at this point, but let me finish this one. But this is the one you want to buy if you're going to buy any of them, because the next one's going to be kind of a kick in the teeth compared to this one.
Okay. So if you spend $300, it would buy you $2 to $3 a share. Is that right?
Well, it's $2 a share. So if you spend $200, you bought 100 shares.
Okay.
Right.
And that's just going to go
2000,
up. You're an investor now.
you're an investor. So you actually own the media. That's the cool part
That's
about
really cool.
this.
Yeah.
This is why I love the equity crowd fund. I mean, it's a little different, because normally when I raise capital, I'm looking for $500,000 and up. And this, it's, now the average person puts in like $1,200. Okay. But I do have somebody that I think is going to buy all of it, what's left here shortly, like in the next month.
And get you to the stock market.
No, that'll get us to the next round, but
okay.
we'll start scaling at a bigger pace. So we'll start, instead of bringing on 300 or 400 news reporters a month, I'll bring on 3,000 or 4,000.
Okay. Wow.
So then you have more problems, which are great problems, but your traffic will start going through the roof.
Right. Yes. See, that's the thing is I'll share and then somebody else sees it and shares, it's just that exponential growth, right?
Everybody's promoting their own content. I'm just distribution and monetization. That's all. I'm just hosting their stuff. They're bringing all the readers. They're sharing their links on social media, right? Just think of it on a simple level. If you posted your kid's Little League game, there's 100% chance grandma and grandpa are going to read that story.
Sure.
Why? It's going on Facebook. That's it. That's how it works. And that piece of content will bring me 20 people, but Mark Fincham will bring me 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. That's how it works. And if I had a bigger player, somebody that had 1 million and 2 million people, I remember one guy shared a story on X. At the time, I think he had 1.3 million people, and he shared one of these articles. It wasn't even his.
Wow.
And we were getting a couple 100,000 people a day coming. It was just nuts.
Wow.
We actually felt it, because it starts to slow the system down because there's so many people coming. I mean, you were talking like 200-300 people a minute, were coming on the site. I mean,
wow.
It's because of his reach.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. All right. Well, all the best. And thanks for the interesting conversation and inspiration, and just wish you all the best. We'll be in touch. So
absolutely, Priscilla. Thank you for having me on your show. It was a pleasure meeting you. And, anytime you want me on, let me know. We'll be updating people. I do a lot of updates. Right now we have, a little over 5,000 people, but I want to get it up to 7,000 or 8,000 or 9,000 or 10,000 and continue to grow. So be a good place to talk.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Sam.
All right, Priscilla. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Lots of information there. Super exciting. Power back to the people. This is a way to do it, isn't it? So check out yournews.com. And thank you to Sam Anthony for being on the show. So, all right. Have a beautiful day, everybody. And God bless. Come back next week. All right. Bye-bye.
I'm not thirsty anymore. I found the true well. The seeking is over. I've put on a new self. Chains of sin have been broken by His grace and mercy. In bondage no more. I've been set free. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing.